Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will appear in the poetry discussion playlist here on the channel. The poem in question today is Ozymandias by Percy Shelley. Now, I want to take an approach that is a little bit different than what is normally taken with this poem. Oftentimes, when Ozymandias is brought up, and it is brought up oftentimes in the academic sense, what you get is not an interpretation, not a discussion, not an analysis so much as a translation. We have a translation of what Percy Shelley meant when he was writing this poem. How Percy Shelley thought that um, Napoleon had gotten to Egypt, Napoleon had forsaken the revolution, Napoleon was a tyrant, all of these things. And sure, in an historical setting, in an historical context, these things are interesting to talk about. But I think that there is something in this poem. In fact, I think it's the point of this poem that often gets glossed over, but it should not. And it's a philosophical point, and it's a philosophical point that is probably ironic on several levels. If we're talking about Napoleon, the philosophy that we're going to be talking about in conjunction with this poem has a pretty good Russian bent to it. But if we're talking about the French, this philosophy also has a pretty good German bent to it. And both of these cultures have a relationship with France when it comes to defeat. So maybe there's too much irony there, maybe not. But if you have spent any amount of time around the channel, you probably know exactly which philosophy I'm going to be invoking here. But I think if you stick with me here, if you give me the time, we will have some interesting talking points for this. Ozymandias. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed, and on the pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare. The lone and level sands stretch far away." Not a difficult poem necessarily. We have come across the wreckage, the remains of what was once a mighty kingdom, and that kingdom is no more. Where's the line here? Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. This is a true testament to nihilism, is it not? Now, one of my favorite quotes from Dmitry Pisarev. In short, and this is about nihilism, in short, here is the ultimatum of our camp. What can be smashed must be smashed. Whatever will withstand the blow will do. What flies into smithereens is rubbish. In any case, strike out right and left. no harm will or can come of it. How much of this is true? Can we destroy everything, and if nothing withstood the blow, nothing was actually lost? I'm not sure. But if the test of that goodness, if the bringer of smithereens are the sands of time, well, Father Time is undefeated. We have here from Percy Shelley a clear indicator that what is worldly will very quickly disappear. We have even the mightiest of these things will not withstand the blow once the blow is strong enough, once it is for a long enough duration, once that destructive force really rises to the occasion, nothing will withstand the blow. And it's ironic because this is maybe true even of the strident nihilists themselves, right? If in the end nothing withstands the blow, was the philosophy of nihilism a good one in the first place? The argument could be made, no, because you have to have something. But the argument sort of around nihilism, when the argument is actually made, is not of nothingism. The argument around nihilism is actually nothing for grantedism. What will withstand the blow is good. So, if we are talking about Ozymandias, King of Kings, his earthly power, those earthly pedestals, did not withstand the blow. Or did they? I met a traveler from an antique land. How long ago was this Ozymandias in question in power? Right, so there's sort of an answer here, right? If you're talking about what Ozymandias means, if you're talking about, are we talking Ramses? Are we talking one of these Egyptian kings, right? There is a literal type of translation answer. I don't find that compelling. I mean, sure, as far as the poem is concerned, I guess you can write it on a piece of paper and get your B, right? Maybe a B minus, depending on how many pretty words you use. But all of those statues, all of that power wielded by Ozymandias, if that power were held through the life of Ozymandias, wouldn't that be good enough? And no, this is not an argument for there is no truth but power. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I think that we have to understand what it means to withstand the blow. Strike out right and strike out left. If that process yielded results throughout the life of our individual in question, here Ozymandias, did that work? I would argue yes, very much it did. So, it would seem to me that as opposed to being an argument for that post-World War I, post-World War II strain of nihilism that nothing will withstand the blow. This is a philosophy of nothingism. This poem is actually an argument for that seminal form of nihilism, which said, what will withstand the blow is good. That said, what we have to do is construct our own meaning in our own lives. That said, from Nietzsche, God is dead, and we have nothing to replace him with. Unless we do. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button in order to stick around for more literary content in the future. There's poetry, on the channel every Monday, and I hope to have you back for the next one.